Hi you guys, my name is Oshun the Great, and welcome to my beautiful channel. Again, you guys can see the theme of today. I've been releasing a lot of controversial topics, I guess, about race. With that being said, I kind of wanted to do this for a while. I wanted to make a video about interracial dating. I kind of wanted to do it with my spouse because I wanted his input too. But I guess in this video, I can just start. This is like part one of like my experiences dating outside of my race, because I have been doing that for a while now. And a lot of people might be like, but you always are talking about black people are beautiful, pro black this, pro black that. So we're going to get right into this video. All right. So growing up, interracial dating, where I grew up, it was never this idea that was just natural or normal. Meaning you just date within your community because that's all you know. It was never a thing where, oh, you would date I grew up around predominantly Black and Spanish people, and that was my culture. So I never ever thought, oh, I would date a white boy, or I would date outside of those things, those two races. So, but over the years growing up, understanding the conditioning of the Black communities, and especially impoverished areas, they carry a certain stigma around beauty, like everyone in this nation, but it hits Black culture, Spanish culture, people of color hardest the most, because we hold the stigma that Black isn't beautiful. And a lot of that growing up, I never ever got conditioned that I was beautiful. All I seen in magazines was white people who were glorified, or their beauty standards, and you never really reassured, not even by parents, not even by your community, that you're beautiful. And a lot of times people aim to have light-skinned babies or have light-skinned girlfriends, and so forth. A lot of the community praised having, especially for Black men, a lot of them growing up, to my awareness, not all Black men, but to my awareness, growing up, they all wanted Spanish women or white women, women that seem exotic. And like a lot of times in my culture, we were taught to desire something different than us. And I'm being very vulnerable, you guys. I'm being very real. It's not to be like, oh, this culture is better than this one. I'm just being very real. This is what we're taught. So with that being said, we're taught date outside your race. And even Spanish and Black girls, and people of color, Asian girls, all of that, we're taught to aspire to get a white man because he'll make your life easier. And a lot of my Spanish girlfriends that I had at the time, they were taught that conditioning as well. Their mothers hated when they brought home Black men because they were deemed less than or unworthy. With that said, I was taught a lot of conditioning. I tried dating my own race, especially when I was very young. That is what I preferred. I preferred Black men. Black men who were talented, who could dance, who had all, the full package or whatever. But with that conditioning, I had a lot of sorrows with dating Black men. It's not to say all Black men are the same. That's not what I'm saying. All men can be bad or good if they choose to each his own. But with my experience personally, I never had a good experience with dating Black men. That it wasn't any good that came out of it. But then after that, so I decided to try to date outside my race, thinking that it would be better. Come to find out that white men can be assholes too. All types of men can be assholes. It's just not, that's my discovery in dating outside my race. But for a long time, I still tended to veer towards that because, again, that conditioning was there that, Black men didn't want Black women, and that men just had this ideal in the community. And I think Black women too, that, they just didn't want each other or something, or I think and having been cheated on before with light-skinned women or white women, it became a fear of that happening again. So having a boyfriend who was Black and undercover gay, it's all these things that you have to worry about within that community, because Black people are not allowed a lot of times to speak up about their wants, their desires, their needs, who they really are, because it's scary to be Black in America, especially to be gay or whatever the fuck. So having a past that was that crazy, I wanted to step out of that terrain for a little bit and date outside my race or whatever. So that went to years of dating, not always seriously, but more so just like messing around with people outside of my race and dating here and there. But with that experience, I realized that, okay, men are men. But it didn't stop me from continuing, because I feel like as a community, we're deeply ingrained to not love ourselves and not love our race. And I am not exempt from that. I was born in America, and no one's saying it's right. No one's saying it's the right way and it can't be changed, but I understand conditioning and how shit works. So with that being said, even now I met my current spouse, he's white, but it's not easy dating interracially, because for one, a lot of times I feel like I'm not being understood. A lot of times it kind of feels like both sides are trying to protect themselves. And for me, talking about race a lot of times is very important. Even when I was dating Black men, we always talk about race, but it seemed like on that term, we obviously had more of we can share, as opposed to when you're in interracial dating. I feel like a lot of people like to portray that it's all sunshine and rainbows, but not really in America. Like, I feel like you'll be lying to yourself if it's like always sunshine and rainbows. Like, a lot of things though that I noticed from white spouses is that they want to act like racism doesn't really exist. And I think they try to propel the reality of being with white women onto Black women. And that's just not how shit works. It's like trying to make us conform to this ideal or live this reality that we know nothing about. And it's only because we aren't white women. I can't walk throughout the day and be like, oh, I'm going to be treated like a blonde girl who can get her way at any whim. Yes, I'm a woman, I can still get my way. And if I'm pretty, I can still get my way, but still I'm treated lesser than because I am a Black woman. So it's very hard when your spouse doesn't understand that. And a lot of times your spouse can take things as you're blaming them with how society works, and that's not really the case. It's more so of you trying to voice your hurts, your pains to them. And sometimes either they'll understand, or sometimes they'll misinterpret it completely wrong. And so those are kind of like the downfalls of dating interracially. A lot of people romanticize interracial dating. Even for me, I think that happened for me a long time. People were kind of like romanticizing it, a lot like suicide, depression is romanticized. A lot of things are romanticized in this country. That's very fucking weird. But interracial dating is very romanticized, meaning you're basically dating because you're thinking the person and their skin color is going to make them a better person. But that's not necessarily the case, because that relationship comes with its own trials and tribulations in itself. So it's like you're not exempt from just like, oh, I found this white man or this white woman or whoever the case may be, and you're just like, I'm good. It's not like that. I mean, if you want, some people are on the conscious level of the ignorance is bliss, meaning the Coca-Cola relationship of how things look like, okay, we're making the world a better place because we're together, we're having light-skinned babies, or we're having mixed kids. That is a very basic level mentality. That is a good start in a way, but if you're not on the same level of like understanding equality and understanding that your spouse isn't gonna be treated the same as you all the time, then like, what are you doing? So it's like, it's really, really hard to get on the same page sometimes. It's not saying that it's impossible, but like any relationship takes work. It takes work in a different aspect. Especially if you have a spouse that isn't scared to speak up about themselves or their experience, it is a lot of work. Again, interracial dating is different from other people because once they get that relationship, they want to act like, okay, everything's sunshine and rainbows, and they want to live that reality, so that's what they live. But for me, it's very hard to just lay down as a feminist and as a Black woman in general who has to speak her mind, who has to stand up for herself. It's very hard for me to just like lay down and act like everything's okay. So regardless of any situation I'm in or any relationship, it's going to be, I guess, a handful, because women in general are taught not to speak their minds or to just submit. But in my past, I never had any good experience come from that. Not to say that relationships are just supposed to be arguing either, but it's just, that's what I'm learning over the years, is that like no one should have to quiet their opinion or dim themselves or their light down in order to be liked. A lot of times at this point in my life, I'm like, shit, I'd rather be myself than be liked. I'd rather be myself and be left by the wrong man, and or keep the right man from just like being myself, you know. Like at this point, it's like, who gives a fuck? Self-love is the essential key factor of all of this shit. So yeah, that is my little bit of experience about interracial dating, and I'm aware that this could catch a lot of people off guard, even the person I'm dating. But like, if he's down with it, like eventually we can get his side or perspective for like interracial dating. And like, it's hard, it's not easy, I'm not gonna lie. And like, I'm sure that he's been struggling because for a while on the topics that I touch on, and I just know it's different for him. Like, it can't be easy because obviously he's never dated a black girl who has such a strong opinion on things. But yeah, with that being said though, you guys be dope, be unapologetically. Peace.